Very good morning, students. Today we'll be dealing with the another exception to the general rule of transferability. I hope you understood the concept of a spes succession is wherein we studied under the head property which may not be transferred. Spes succession is one of the kind of immovable property which could not be transferred under Transfer of Property Act. Now let us see what are the other properties which would be considered to be a property of immovable in nature and hence would not be transferred from one living person to another living person. Now, if we take into consideration section B clause, if you go through the provision which has been provided under section 6 clause B, you'll find that a mere right of re-entry, for a breach of condition subsequent a mere right of free entry for a breach of a condition subsequent cannot be transferred to anyone except the owner of the property affected thereby. Now, in this line, there are 2 to 3 things actually which need to be kept in mind. Firstly, there is a right of re entry. There is a right of re entry which is attached to a particular transaction if suppose there is a breach of some condition subsequent. Right of re-entry is attached to the transfer, that is to say the subject matter of the property that is transferred to that is attached to that, and which would be coming in operation in situation wherein the condition subsequent attached to that particular transaction is breached. Now, let us understand what is a right of re-entry, what is condition subsequent, and when this right of re-entry would come in operation. Student, definitely because it has been provided under section 6 clause B, the right of re-entry, wherein we will be dealing with one of the kind of immovable property which could not be transferred under Transfer of Property Act. And as we have already discussed, this is nothing but an exception to the general rule. Now, according to this clause, the right of re-entry is an immovable property and cannot be transferred except the owner of the property affected by the transfer. Now, री-एंट्री मीन्स वापस से अपनी प्रॉपर्टी में एंटर होना, वापस से अपनी प्रॉपर्टी में एंटर होना. जस्ट टेक एन एग्जांपल, मैंने अगर आपको अपनी प्रॉपर्टी लीज पे दी, I have given here the example, if Udit leased out his property to Rohan for a period of 3 years. For how many period? Udit has leased out his property to Rohan for a period of 3 years. And after expiry of 3 years, Udit will be having a right to re-enter in the property, right? But if suppose Udit mortgages that particular property to someone, or if he sells a property to someone, then his right of re-entry in that particular property after the completion of 3 years may get adversely affected. Now, how come it would get adversely affected? For example, if, as I have already mentioned in this particular situation, Udit has mortgaged his property. Suppose if he has mortgaged his property, then in that case, what he have to do is he have to pay the mortgage debt which he has obtained. But suppose if he is failure in paying the mortgage debt which he has obtained, then in that case, there is a failure in compliance of the mortgage deed. Then in that case, who would be having a right to enter in that particular property? The person in whose favor the mortgage is created. That is to say, Udit would be losing the right to re-enter in that particular property. Next is, if the Udit has sold out that particular property to some other person, then in that case, after the expiry of 3 years period, whether Udit would be in a position to re-enter in that particular property? No, he won't be in a position to re-enter in that particular property. But suppose if there is no situation of mortgage or a sale over that particular property which the Udit has transferred by way of lease to Rohan for a period of 3 years, then after the expiry of 3 years period, Udit will be having a right to re-enter in that particular property. So this right to re-enter in the property, Udit by virtue of law cannot transfer it to somebody else. He cannot transfer it to somebody else because a right to re-enter in that particular property is nothing but an immovable property so far as this particular section 6 is concerned, and by virtue of being called as an immovable property, because this is nothing but a right which is attached to a particular land, and that is attached and can only be exercised by the person who is in possession of that particular land at that time, maybe the owner or maybe the possessor. Then in that case, we have seen this when we dealt with the definition of immovable property, that what would be covered under the head immovable property. It would not only include the land, the building or the things attached to it, but that there are many other implied rights which are attached to this particular land, building, and hence would be considered to be under the definition of immovable property. So one of the example of this is a right to re-enter in the immovable property would also be considered to be an immovable property which cannot be transferred under Transfer of Property Act. Now let us see, students, the another example. Now if I take into consideration, if I'll take another example, if Roshan leased out his property to Sanjana with a condition subsequent attached to it. Earlier, in the earlier example wherein Udit transferred the property to Rohan, there was no condition subsequent attached to it. Here, the condition subsequent is attached to it. Whenever a person transferring a property to the another person, there is a condition subsequent. If a person want to attach, then in that case, that fulfillment of that condition subsequent is necessary for the purposes of retention of the possession of that particular property. If the condition subsequent is not fulfilled, then in that case, the person who has transferred the property can revoke back that particular property or can redeem back that particular property. Let's see an example. If Roshan leased out his property to Sanjana with a condition subsequent attached to it, and the condition is Sanjana will not leave Nagpur till 2020. Now, Sanjana leave Nagpur 2019 itself. She lives the Nagpur and she leave the Nagpur in the year 2019 itself. Now, definitely Roshan is having a right to re-enter the property. But if Roshan asks Shwetal to enter in the property, it cannot be done for the reason that mere right to re-entry cannot be transferred. Now students, I hope you understood when the right of re-entry could be transferred and when it could not be transferred. But if we consider that it could be transferred, then in that case we have to keep it in mind that it is an immovable property and it cannot be transferred under Transfer of Property Act. Maybe there is an attachment of the condition subsequent or may not be an attachment of the condition subsequent situation is there. If there is a transfer of the property with the condition subsequent, then in that case, the condition subsequent fulfillment is compulsory. And if it is not so, then in that case, the person who has transferred that particular property cannot hand over his right of re-entry to some third person, for the reason that right of re-entry is by virtue itself is a non-transferable right. It is a non-transferable right over an immovable property, though it may be covered under the head immovable property, but being by its nature itself, it is non-transferable and hence it cannot be transferred to some third person. So simply students, it means that right of re-entry cannot be transferred under Transfer of Property Act. Maybe in another situation, if suppose there is a condition subsequent attached to it, even still on the non-fulfillment of the condition subsequent to the right of re-entry cannot be transferred to some third person. Now student, let us see the next clause which says that third clause, that is to say C clause of section 6. What does it say? All easement cannot be transferred apart from the dominant heritage. Now I hope you remember what do we mean by the term easement, है ना. तो easement we have already discussed many a times in our class, but still we would say it is nothing but a right over the land of another for the purposes of enjoyment of our own land. So for the purposes of enjoyment of our own land, with the we exercise a right over the land of another, and this is also recognized by the law, for the reason that we do not have any other option to enjoy our land, and for the purposes of enjoying our own land we have to, or we are in such a situation that we have to impose a certain right over some another person's land, then in that case it is called as a right of easement. So right to easement cannot be transferred. Now let us see what is there provided in this. Easement is an incident of ownership of a dominant heritage. Who is dominant heritage and who is servient heritage? Dominant heritage is a person who, for the purposes of his own enjoyment of land, impose an obligation over the land of another. He dominates the will of another person. The another person whose will is dominated is called as a servient heritage, and the person who dominates the will of the other is called as a dominant heritage. So earlier is called as a servient heritage, and the later who actually dominate the will of the other is called as a dominant heritage. Here the right of easement is available to this dominant heritage, but this right of easement he exercises over the land of another person. It is a right attached with a property and do not have an independent existence. This right of easement do not have an independent existence. We cannot separate it from the land. So it is a right which is attached with the property and do not have an independent existence. It can be transferred along with the property only. This right of easement need to be transferred along with the property only. Suppose for example I have created a situation, let's have a look. If Parvez transfers his right to weigh over a land of Avanti to Renuka. If Parvez transfers his right to weigh, who got the right of easement? Parvez got the right of easement to enjoy his own land. If he want to transfer his right to weigh over the land of Avanti, over whose property he is exercising an easementary right? He is exercising an easementary right over the land of Avanti. But Parvez, who is exercising a right of easement over Avanti's land, if want to transfer his right to weigh to whom? To Renuka. The Parvez cannot do this because easement itself is not a property which can be transferred. If Parvez transfers his house to Renuka, अगर ट्रांसफर करते वक्त में परवेज अपना घर ही सपोज रेणुका को ट्रांसफर करता है, तो ही उस घर के साथ में राइट टू वे ओवर अवंतीज लैंड वुड गो टू रेणुका, अदरवाइज इट वुड नॉट गो. राइट टू ईजमेंट कैनॉट बी सेपरेटेड फ्रॉम द प्रॉपर्टी. परवेज को राइट टू वे मिला है अपने हाउस को एंजॉय करने के लिए, अपने हाउस में रहने के लिए. अगर वो सिर्फ राइट टू वे अगर रेणुका को ट्रांसफर करना चाहता है, दैट वुड नॉट बी डन. उसे अगर रेणुका को ट्रांसफर करना ही है तो पूरा का पूरा हाउस भी उसको क्या करना पड़ेगा? ट्रांसफर करना पड़ेगा. तभी जाके हम बोलेंगे कि वो ट्रांसफर हो सकता है. अदरवाइज सिंपली उस हाउस को एंजॉय करने के लिए जो अवंती के लैंड पे वो राइट टू ईजमेंट एक्सरसाइज कर रहा है या एंजॉय कर रहा है, सिर्फ राइट टू ईजमेंट ही वो रेणुका को ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकता है. क्यों नहीं कर सकता है? क्योंकि राइट टू ईजमेंट जो है ये पर्टिकुलरली डोमिनेंट हेरिटेज को मिला हुआ है और उसके प्रॉपर्टी को एंजॉय करने के पर्पज से मिला हुआ है. ये सेपरेट एग्जिस्टेंस नहीं करता है. अगर सिचुएशन नहीं होती वहां पे, परवेज को अपने घर जाने के लिए कोई दूसरा वे आउट अवेलेबल होता तो उसको कभी भी राइट टू ईजमेंट नहीं मिलता. अब क्योंकि परवेज को कहीं अपने घर जाने के लिए कोई वे आउट अवेलेबल नहीं है, इसीलिए राइट टू ईजमेंट उसको अवंती के लैंड से मिला है. अगर परवेज को ये बेसिकली राइट टू वे किसी को देना भी चाहे तो क्योंकि उसका कोई सेपरेट एग्जिस्टेंस नहीं है और वो क्योंकि एक तरीके का इमूवेबल राइट है, परवेज कैन नॉट ट्रांसफर दैट टू समबडी एल्स एंड हेंस इट कैन नॉट बी ट्रांसफर्ड बाय वर्च्यू, इट कैन नॉट बी ट्रांसफर्ड and hence would be considered to be an immovable property under Transfer of Property Act. Now let us see restricted interest cannot be transferred. Now students, restricted interest means what? Restricted interest का मतलब ये होता है कि लिमिटेड इंटरेस्ट उस पर्सन को मिला है जो पर्सन उसको एंजॉय कर रहा है। अब क्योंकि उसको ही लिमिटेड इंटरेस्ट मिला है, वो ये लिमिटेड इंटरेस्ट किसी और को ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकता है। इट मीन्स अगर हम देखते हैं बेसिकली क्लॉज डी, तो what we find that all interest in property restricted in its enjoyment, all interest in property restricted in its enjoyment to the owner personally cannot be transferred by him। हमने ओनर को पर्टिकुलरली एंजॉयमेंट के पर्पज से लिमिटेड इंटरेस्ट पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी में दिया है सपोज, then in that case he cannot transfer it to anybody else। It means that a person's right or an interest which is only for his enjoyment cannot be transferred by him to anyone। For example ले लेते हैं, if Ankit gives a land to Adhishta, ठीक है, if Ankit gives a land to Adhishta for her personal use only, किस लिए दिया है? पर्सनल यूज के लिए दिया है। Adhishta cannot extend that use to land to any third person। अधिष्ठा जो है वो उस लैंड का यूज किसी और को एक्सटेंड नहीं कर सकती बिना परमिशन के, क्योंकि उसको ही कैसा मिला है? लिमिटेड इंटरेस्ट मिला है। सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल के तौर पे अंकित ने अधिष्ठा को अपने घर किराए पे रखा। अब अधिष्ठा कोई और पर्सन को किराएदार नहीं रख सकती उस घर में, सिंपली सही। So it means a restricted interest which Adhishta got, she cannot transfer it to somebody else। So restricted interest, though may be of immovable in nature, attached to the land, do not have a separate existence and hence cannot be transferred from one living person to another living person। This has been provided under section 6. Now come to next point, right to future maintenance। Now what does this mean, right to future maintenance? If we go through the clause double D, then in that case we would find a line that a right to future maintenance in whatsoever manner arising, secured or determined cannot be transferred। Now what does this mean? Right to future maintenance, simple by word हमको इतना पता चलता है कि फ्यूचर में हमको मिलने वाला, अराइज होने वाला या सिक्योर्ड रूप में या फिर कल जाके कोर्ट में या किसी वजह के बिल वगैरह की वजह से डिटरमाइंड होने वाला, फाइनली डिसाइड होने वाला ऐसा कोई राइट या इंटरेस्ट हमको प्रॉपर्टी में मिलने वाला है या अराइज होने वाला है या सिक्योर्ड होने वाला है या डिसाइड होने वाला है, वो हम ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकते हैं। अब क्यों ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकते हैं उसकी वजह भी सुन लीजिए। राइट टू फ्यूचर मेंटेनेंस इज अ पर्सनल बेनिफिट, है ना, ये एक तरीके का पर्सनल बेनिफिट है ऑफ द पर्सन टू हुम इट इज ग्रांटेड। इसीलिए ये पर्सनल बेनिफिट जो इस पर्टिकुलर पर्सन को हमने दिया है वो ये किसी और को ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकता है। बट यस, अगर मान लीजिए एरियर ऑफ मेंटेनेंस जमा हो गया, क्या हो गया? एरियर ऑफ मेंटेनेंस जमा हो गया, है ना, देन इन दैट केस वो एरियर ऑफ मेंटेनेंस जो है वो हम ट्रांसफर कर सकेंगे। एग्जाम्पल ले लीजिए कैसे कर सकेंगे। द राइट ऑफ मेंटेनेंस इज अ पर्सनल राइट ऑफ द हिंदू विडो which is incapable of assignment, but arrears of maintenance can be attached and sold like any other debts। राइट ऑफ मेंटेनेंस जो है ये एक तरीके का पर्सनल राइट है जो हमने अभी ऊपर पढ़ा, एंड ये एक पर्सनल राइट है बेसिकली हिंदू विडो के लिए, ठीक है। हिंदू विडो जो है वो इसे असाइन नहीं कर सकती है, किसी भी और पर्सन को ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकती है, बिकॉज इट इज नथिंग बट अ पर्सनल राइट। ऊपर के स्टेटमेंट के हिसाब से इट इज अ पर्सनल राइट, राइट ऑफ मेंटेनेंस इज अ पर्सनल राइट एंड हेंस इट कैन नॉट बी ट्रांसफर टू समबडी एल्स। मे बी यहाँ पे वो हिंदू विडो ही क्यों ना हो, वो उसको ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकती। लेकिन यदि मान लीजिए उसके पास में एरियर ऑफ मेंटेनेंस जमा हो गया है, उसके पास में क्या हो गया है? एरियर ऑफ मेंटेनेंस कलेक्ट हो गया है, देन इन दैट केस अगर उसने मान लीजिए किसी भी तरीके का कोई कर्जा लिया है जो उसने फेड़ा नहीं है, then in that case this particular area of maintenance can be attached and can be sold like any other debt which she might have taken and the action would have taken against her. So this is an example of this, and with the help of this we came to know that right to future maintenance, may be arising, may be secured or may be determined, but would be considered to be a personal right of the person, and hence this personal right cannot be transferred to some another person. This is limited only to a person only. Now students, let us understand the another one, that is a right to sue. What does section 6 clause E says about right to sue? It simply says that a mere right to sue cannot be transferred. Now a mere right to sue cannot be transferred. What does this mean? As a general rule, we know that a right to sue cannot be transferred, है ना। जो राइट मुझे मिला है कोर्ट में एक्शन लेने का, मैं नहीं बोल सकती कि रोशन यू फाइल अ सूट ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ मी। इफ आई एम मेजर, इफ आई एम साउंड माइंड and I am capable of entering into any kind of legal transactions, then in that case I cannot transfer my right to sue to somebody else. Now this is nothing but a general rule. Yes, definitely PIL वगैरह में you have a right, and as a member of a public you have a right, because even you are considered to be adversely affected. Now, but as a general rule, if you talk about a general rule, then in that case a right to sue cannot be transferred. Now right to sue have a two aspect. Right to sue have a two aspect. First, right to sue for a definite sum of money is an actionable claim. Right to sue for a definite sum of money is an actionable claim and can be transferred. क्यों? ये यहाँ पे definite sum of money है actionable claim में, and hence it can be transferred. But दूसरा एस्पेक्ट क्या कहता है? राइट टू स्यू फॉर इनडेफिनेट सम ऑफ मनी, उसे हम ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकते. नाउ लेट अस सी डिफरेंस बिटवीन डेफिनेट एंड इनडेफिनेट. डेफिनेट की जब हम बात करते हैं तो सम ऑफ मनी सर्टन होता है, हम किसी को बोल सकते हैं. जैसे सपोज फॉर एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे अगर मान लीजिए कोई स्पेसिफिक अमाउंट को लेके हमारा ट्रांजेक्शन हुआ है और वो स्पेसिफिक अमाउंट जो है आप ऐसा ले लीजिए, यू कैन टेक एन एग्जाम्पल that principal debtor has been failure in making the payment of the money. Then in that case the guarantor, if the guarantor is there, then in that case the guarantor would be having a right to make the payment, and likewise for the purposes of recovery of that particular payment also. So right to sue for a definite sum of money is an actionable claim and hence can be transferred. But right to sue for indefinite sum of money cannot be transferred. Now what does this mean? A right to sue for damage in tort. Tort में there is no certain sum, na? Agar if there is a certain sum, specific relief is available, then in that case we have to exercise it under contract. But in tort there is no specific sum of money, right? So right to sue for damages in tort are indefinite sum of money. Or a breach of contract. Breach of contract में whatever the mental loss, whatever the money loss, whatever the physical discomfort has been caused to you because of that particular breach of the contract, so a part of the contract amount which has been specified in the contract, there is other amount which we claim in the form of like a violation of our right, है ना. Non-performance of the contract is different and violation of our right is different. Violation of our right cannot be assessed in the form of certain sum of money, and hence the right to sue for a damage in tort or a breach of contract are bare right to sue, and hence it cannot be transferred to any other person. Now let us see what has been provided under section 6 clause F. Section 6 clause F, students, speaks about a public office. What does it say? A public office cannot be transferred, nor can the salary of a public officer, whether before or after it has become payable. Now, what does this mean? It means that a public office, the officers in that public office, their salary, whether before or after it has become payable, are nothing but an immovable property, and it cannot be transferred under Transfer of Property Act. I cannot say, Nokri, I'll do, and please make the payment to Rohan. Or I'll do the job, or Udit will do the job, and Sanjana is going to get a salary. Or Udit cannot say, okay, I'm ready to come to office, please appoint me as the employee, but give the salary to Aniket. Then in that case, in this situation, we would say it could not be done. The public office, their salary, whether before or after it has become payable, are not transferable, and hence it could be considered to be immovable property. What is the reason behind it? Reason behind it is because the public of in whenever in any of the public office you are appointed, you have certain qualification, you have certain we have a certain dignity of that particular office, and only on the basis of proper performance of the duties you get the salary out of it, and therefore it is your personal benefit, personal interest in that particular property, and you cannot by virtue of saying or by entering into an agreement that please make a payment to my friend or my any of the relative, this could not be done, and hence we say that the public office, the public officers, their salary, whenever become payable, cannot be transferred from one living person to another living person, and the reason behind it to ensure the dignity of the office and the proper performance of his duties, and hence it is considered to be an immovable property which cannot be transferred under section 6 Transfer of Property Act. Now, let us see the next one, that is the G clause, which speaks about the stipends and pensions. Now, the stipends allowed to the military or a naval person or an air force person or serving a air force and a civil pensioners of the government and political pensions are considered to be a immovable property attached to a particular person in the form of a particular benefit, and hence it cannot be considered to be a transferable one, and therefore the stipends and the pensions which are given to the military, naval or air force and the civil pensioners of the government and the political pensions cannot be transferred from one living person to another living person. But yes, we have to keep it in mind certain important things. The bonus or reward is not a pension, right? Bonus or a reward is not a pension. We do not have to consider the term bonus or reward under the head pension. Second, the allowances granted for other consideration. The allowances which are granted for other basically consideration can be transferred. For example, suppose if any of the person is getting a stipend or a pension because he is in military, naval or air force, he gets a canteen card and he gets somewhat a good facility to have a grocery from canteen and all that. So his son is, as well as his family members are there, that after the demise of this particular person, his son or the family member, one of the family member who is going to inherit this particular person's property would also be in a position to get the particular facility. So that is to say the allowance granted for the other considerations can be transferred. But if it is not so, then in that case it cannot be transferred. That is to say the stipend or a pensions of military, navy or air force, also the civil pensioners who are serving the government, and also the political pensions that cannot be transferred from one living person to another living person. Now let us see the example. A pension is exempt from attachment in execution of decree against the pension holders under section 60 clause G of CPC, and because the pension itself has been exempted from the attachment, and hence it cannot be transferred from one person to another person. Now let us see. There are three classes of cases according to which no transfer can take place. Apart of that, we have to keep it in mind certain situations which has been specifically provided under section 6 clause H. What does section 6 clause H says? It says that no transfer can be made insofar as it is opposed to the nature of interest affected thereby or for an unlawful object or consideration within the meaning of section 23 of the Indian Contract Act 1872 or to a person who is legally disqualified to be a transferee. Now students, we have to keep it in mind certain things. Now what things we have to keep it in mind is there are three classes of cases under this head according to which no transfer can take place. First, if it is opposed to the nature of the interest affected thereby, the person in whose favor, if suppose we are transferring a property, adversely affect the interest of that particular person, then in that case it will not be considered to be a valid transfer and hence it cannot take place validly. Another it means that the nature of the property to be transferred does not admit of such transfer, then the transfer is invalid. Example, res communis, it means which are natural and not belong to any particular individual. हम जो है ऐसी कोई प्रॉपर्टी जो कि नेचुरल है और जो किसी पर्टिकुलर इंडिविजुअल को बिलोंग नहीं करती, जैसे सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल एयर, वाटर, सी, लाइट, नेचुरल लाइट, दिस इज व्हाट वी कैन नॉट ट्रांसफर फ्रॉम one person to another person. Another one is the transfer for unlawful object or consideration. As we have already started under the Contract Act, that whenever if we are transferring a property but the object behind transfer of property is unlawful and not valid, then in that case, or that too without any consideration, then in that case it will not be considered to be a valid transfer. A transfer cannot be made if it is for unlawful object or consideration. A property otherwise transferable may not be transferred if the transfer is for unlawful object and consideration. और for अब क्या रहता है basically unlawful means forbidden by law, defeat the provision of any law, fraudulent, involve injury to the person or a property of another, or immoral or opposed to public policy. अगर इनमें से कोई भी ऐसा object है हमारा, then in that case the transfer would termed to be an unlawful transfer and invalid transfer, and hence under such particular transfer one cannot transfer the property to another person. Now let us see what is the third thing provided under this clause H is legally disqualified transferee. Now a legally disqualified person cannot be transferring. We cannot transfer the property to such legally disqualified person. Now who could be legally disqualified person? यहाँ पे legally disqualified person is a disqualified person who are being declared to be disqualified for taking the benefit of actionable claim. For example, a judge, a legal practitioner, an officer connected to the court are disqualified from purchasing any actionable claim. Now reason behind is because they are aware of all the things which are attached to this actionable claim, and hence they've been considered to be disqualified, and therefore from the point of view of these category of people and the actionable claim, if we consider the same to be an immovable property, then in that case we cannot transfer or we cannot purchase as a judge, as a legal practitioner or any other officer connected to the court, we cannot purchase this particular actionable claim and thereby can call us to be a transferee. Therefore such type of people cannot purchase a actionable claim, or to these kind of people we cannot transfer the actionable claim under section 6. Now untransferable interest cannot be transferred. Any of the interest which cannot be transferred by nature itself, such type of interest cannot be transferred to anyone. For example, right of occupancy, right? Then farmer of a state in respect to which a default has been made in paying revenue. किसान ने रेवेन्यू ही अपना पे नहीं किया है और गवर्नमेंट के पास में उसका काफ़ी सारा रेवेन्यू बकाया हो गया है, गवर्नमेंट को ही उसने अभी तक अपना टैक्स पे नहीं किया है, तो विदाउट पेइंग द टैक्स ही कैन नॉट ट्रांसफर इट टू समबडी एल्स. उसके बाद में लेसी, जिसको हमने हमारी प्रॉपर्टी में किराएदार रखा है, वो भी बिना हमारे कंसेंट के वो प्रॉपर्टी किसी और को लीज नहीं कर सकता है. नेक्स्ट इज, अगर मान लीजिए कोई ऐसा बच्चा है जिसकी प्रॉपर्टी कोर्ट के मैनेजमेंट के अंदर है, सुपरविजन के अंदर है, बिकॉज वो अभी बच्चा स्मॉल है, देन इन दैट केस वो पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी भी ट्रांसफर नहीं की जा सकती है टू एनीबडी. So students, we have completed over here section 6, which speaks about what property may be transferred and what may not be transferred. You will always have a question over this particular topic. I hope